Hello, everyone. Glad to see you back here at Silver Tears Tarot. And of course, a warm welcome to those of you who are joining us for the first time. So, I was just having a conversation with one of you recently and you told me you were pretty much losing hope for the situation and wanted to know what else maybe was coming your way. So, that's what we're going to look at today. Who or what is coming toward you at this time? And so we're going to set our time frame for about the next 3 months. So if you're in the northern hemisphere, that'll be across the springtime. In the southern hemisphere, it would be about the time frame of autumn. So we'll just get an idea of what's coming your way for those of you who are looking to do something new or just looking to understand maybe some feelings that you're already having, feelings that are coming on the horizon. So we'll just kind of start there. So as always, it's going to be a general reading, and we know it's not going to resonate with everybody, but if you get in here and you discover that it really feels like it resonates, you may wish to subscribe. You may wish to look at some of the other videos because they are absolutely all very connected. All of the energies that have been coming out are very connected. I'm reading for a specific collective. So if you find that you're part of this collective, feel free to join us. So, what we've got here, we're going to start with kind of your energetic backdrop, but it's slightly different from the usual question. It's going to be the energetic backdrop, what's around you right now. So, energies that are around you right now, but we also want to understand kind of what the energy is that you may be moving into, what you're open to. And so we're going to ask in a minute what's coming your direction. So we need to see where you're. Ooh, wow, perfect. Where you are. So I never like to judge when I have when I have anything come up. However, I have to tell you, I am very happy to see this one. So this is the Page of Coins, and when we're looking at your energy and how you are receiving the things that are coming your direction, this is just about the best energy you could possibly have. So, this is being open to new lessons. It is the card of somebody who's willing and open to learn. So, that is just absolutely wonderful energy for you to be coming in with at this time. And I can see that too. When you're frustrated because things haven't really been working in some area of your life, or maybe even in multiple, sometimes it makes sense to kind of move and continue to look around to see what's available and how other ways that you might develop yourself. And so that is definitely one of the things that you seem to be thinking in this energy. It's, how do I develop myself? I've got these lessons to learn. I'm not exactly sure how to move forward with them, even though in some cases we have practical knowledge of how to move forward, and that's simply not all of the information that is required. Plus, there's an emotional component, and so some development around those emotions is also going to be helpful. But what we have is really that desire to learn, openness to learn, and a recognition that there are some things left to learn, and that this is just being a very difficult transit right now. So we've got the Queen of Swords, which is really going to be about letting go of some things that are in your life right now. Frankly, not just letting go of them, but actively cutting them out, looking for things that are more cooperative, those things that work within your life and that you don't have to work as hard to accomplish. This Three of Pentacles is all about attracting that. So you're attracting things that make sense. You're getting rid of things that don't make a ton of sense. But I also feel in you, in addition to, and this is an interesting balance, in addition to that willingness to learn and that willingness to take in information, there's also this willingness to do something different. Um, it's kind of a it's kind of a feeling of willingness to try out. I'm turning over too many cards. It's willingness to try out new things, and to really just be able to engage. It's almost like a minor arcana fool energy. It's a willingness to engage in something that is very new to you, but not necessarily as if you know everything about it. So there is absolutely this youthful ability to just kind of jump in and try something new, try something that has never been done before by you. So we've got the archpriestess, and so this is the equivalent of the high priestess in this deck. And really, this is about openness to your intuition, connectedness to your intuition and your higher self. This is something that you absolutely want to continue as you're moving through this process, because there are a lot of mysteries here, a lot of places where you are not necessarily going to be able to understand everything that surrounds you. You're not necessarily going to be able to understand um, everything that you're expected to make a decision about, but it's going to be okay. So the Four of Pentacles tells us that's going to be okay because you have this energy of being able to let go. So we saw that in with the full moon, that's pretty significant as far as having contributed some of that energy around letting go, and with that mystery that comes with it's it's interesting because it's kind of like it's part of the energy that came with the full moon is that was casting some weird shadows and leaving some things in mystery, I guess. Definitely that was happening while at the same time you were getting this ability to be able to let go. And it's something that, you want to roll with that. You want to try and utilize that energy of being able to let go, to move on, to do something different, which I feel like was a little bit of kind of where this conversation came from that I was having with the viewer. So, if that's true, then I would say absolutely go with it, because when you have help from the universe as far as being able to let go, it allows you to be able to move forward. A little bit easier as well. And when you have that support, I recommend you take it. So it's not necessarily, once again, going to be as easy as you might hope for it to be. This Eight of Swords suggests that it might be difficult in some cases to be able to truly think through easily and rationally, think through everything that's happening around you, because there's a tendency to overthink. There's a tendency to maybe misinterpret. So when you're watching yourself, when you're observing situations where you're interacting with other people, um, just remember that you may be taking things a little bit more harshly than they're meant. Interpretation is going to be key here. I feel like I want one more card, or I never know how many more cards I want or how many I'm going to take off the top. It's one of those things that I very much just go by feel. So I'm glad you guys are seeing the cards come out, because sometimes when if somebody just has a personal reading, then they may not see the whole process. So this is kind of neat. We've got the fortune card that has come out here. This is like the Wheel of Fortune in the traditional tarot, and it's about change, knowing that change is coming and being willing to accept that. And so there's a strong element of being able to accept the change that's coming your way, and being willing to learn. So this is fabulous. This is exactly what I was looking for as far as wanting to understand what your energetic backdrop was and the receptivity to whatever is coming your direction, because we don't know if it's a person, we don't know if it's an opportunity, we don't know if it's more learning, and if it's more learning, again, you're incredibly open to it. It feels like you're doing that either way. You're doing that regardless of anything else that's coming your way or anything else that happens. And honestly, that is your best bet. Love that. I absolutely love that. So let's take a look now at what is actually coming your way. I usually like to kind of get the lay of the land before we jump in with the question, for whatever that reading is going to be. And I'm really glad that we did, because if you don't know how your receptivity is going to be to whatever this is and how open you are, it can be difficult to say how you might interpret it. Now there's an opportunity for you to potentially interpret something differently than it is meant. So you're willing, or you are able to look at the situation and make your decisions accordingly. Yeah. So you've got a challenge coming your way to this. Okay, remember when this Four of Pentacles came out and I was talking about this being the energy of being able to let go, particularly being helped along by this full moon that we had on the 7th. And so that is true. That's part of the lesson that you seem to be open to wanting to learn. But there is something that is going to want to draw you back into a cycle. That's what's coming your way. So let's get deeper into that and understand what it is. That sounds very much like an opportunity to me, but it's difficult to say exactly what it is. Okay. So we've got a cycle. And this is not a cycle you're unfamiliar with. It's one that you've seen and one that has maybe even played out with this soulmate. So, what this tells me is there is some of this healing that we saw is not yet done, but there is a cycle wanting to play out where you're going to be presented once again with essentially a wall that you have been guarding that no longer needs to be guarded. However, you are going to have a realization somewhere in here that maybe it never needed to be guarded. Also, maybe, and I'm waiting now for this 10 of Cups to come out, maybe that when you run into a situation that triggers you and causes you to want to guard that wall, um, it's more a matter of you looking to see, well, what actually makes this situation up rather than having a reaction. So you're able to clear the way emotionally for yourself to have a response instead of just a reaction. Because a lot of times reactions are tougher to dropped one tougher to work with and tougher to clean up the results afterwards. So we've got the star card, which is suggesting that you've got it's really suggesting that you've got something coming your way that is it's delayed, but it has to do with this cycle that you're going through. So this is interesting because it's something that's going to trigger you, something that is inevitable but delayed, and it's going to trigger you to have to think things through. I don't have proof that it could be your person, but I'm wondering if maybe it is, because if it's something that's likely to trigger you, it feels like it's a test. It feels like going back through this cycle. We've seen the inevitability with your person, and we've also seen that things are going to be that things are going to, definitely have to play out and resolve. I guess, though, it's not definite that it's your person, because it could just be a situation that initially presents as if it is your person. There is going to be something slow moving about it that is part of the test. So, for those of you who have a hard time moving slowly into a relationship and are very enthusiastic about jumping into it, there's going to be a need to go more slowly. And so now we have our 10 of Cups. It is in reverse. This is going to be that chance for you to see something that looks like it may be too good to be true, to start seeing things that might be red flags waving, to get a little closer and to be able to understand what it is you're truly looking at. Is it the dream or is it too good to be true? And when you get up close to it, instead of once again having a reaction, you have the opportunity to have more of a response. And so that's what I'm getting for you with this one. Oh my goodness. If I can get my cards organized. Yeah, so that's what I'm getting for you with this one, with the 10 of Cups in reverse. It's really that matter of you're having the opportunity to exercise the lessons that you were just learning in determining if something, comparing it up against what it is that you now know about yourself. What is it that you want? How is this measuring up, and how do you want to respond to it? Because those are all very different questions. Okay, so we've got the Page of Pentacles. That'll be the only one we use here. The Page of Pentacles is telling us, again, with the openness to the learning, that this is going to be an opportunity for great learning, or that it's really not its own opportunity for learning. It's going to add on to the learning that you've already had, only this time you're going to have a little bit of a different response to it. You're going to be able to, again, look at it and have that discernment, and also determine, hey, wait a minute, am I catching myself guarding a wall that doesn't need to be guarded over here? Looking at this situation, I now see that this is what it needs to be, or it is not. And you can then act accordingly. But it still looks like it's potentially going to move a little bit more slowly than what you are hoping for. Either way, though, you've got this ability growing in you to be able to cut things out as needed. But also, if you combine it with this discernment over here, then you won't be cutting out the wrong things. Sometimes we've been seeing even the Queen of Swords come in reverse to talk about that, but I haven't seen that come out that way in a while. We do have the Hierophant, which has come out here to talk a little bit about tradition and the fact that there's going to be a little bit more complexity with what's coming to you in this springtime or autumn time frame. A lot of my listeners are either in Europe or in North America, and so either the U.S. or Canada. And so a lot of you, it's going to be spring as we look around and see kind of what's coming your way. So again, though, it's going to be something that's a little bit more complex, and this time it gets in on your values in a way that maybe your previous situation did not. So you're prepared for that. You have grown to be ready for it, but it's not necessarily going to be an easy decision. So I want to go ahead and reorganize these just a little bit. I don't need them to be in a specific pattern, but some cards like to be next to other ones as I'm interpreting them because it really just kind of helps the messages that come out together. So we've got the Page of Wands, and this is a great sort of attitude for you to go in with. It complements this well. So this is the desire and the openness to learn something new. And over here, we see that it is going to be definitely something new for you to learn, but this is that curiosity that really complements it well and makes it more effective. So when you're going in to learn something and or experience something, and you're open to it and you're curious about it, you're just generally going to have a better response to the overall experience. It's just better when you're more open to things and you're not prejudging things. So we've also got the King of Cups. This is going to be a situation that brings some transition for you. It says transition on the card. There's definitely a strong element of transition, but there's also an element of transformation that I don't see as much in the cards as much as I'm feeling it. And you're magnetizing it to yourself because of the work that you're doing over here. You're being more open to that change and being open to what the possibilities are. It feels like you're following that direction that you've been receiving in these readings, and that is not to be attached to outcomes and of situations. Don't get too deep into your expectations or your assumptions about a situation because things could be different from what you would expect, and you've got to be open for that. The more open for it you are, the better it is for these things to come to you. So there's a lot of positivity there, but you are going to be going through a cycle again, something that you've seen before, but you've got some new lessons this time. So it's not clear to me still whether this is a new person or whether you've got the same person coming back and you're going for another round. We're going to look more deeply into this when we go into the extended because, I mean, it's really great that you have this opportunity to learn something, to utilize what you've learned and everything. That you're going to see some things coming but we also see that it's going to be a little bit more complex and it's going to be full of lessons for you. So let's dig into that a little bit when we get into the extended. Before we do, though, I want to look into what you could be doing right now and kind of how you prepare for what it is that's coming. You've got this great openness. There are no more pages of pentacles available to come out. So we know that you're open. We know that there's a lesson coming and that it's going to be beneficial for you to be open. But let's see what else would be good for you to be doing in this. So we've got the Page of Cups and the King of Coins. All right. So there's a humble nature to this King of Coins in reverse. Usually, the King of Coins it's not that he isn't humble. It's simply that he has a tendency to own everything. He's very much in control of his situation, but almost without having to try. So that King of Wands is a little bit more on the controlling side, where this one just sits back and it comes to him. It's the businessman, the business owner, the very resourceful and well resourced father in the Ten of Coins household. And so, it's one of those things that this is an energy of someone who also very much feels they deserve to be there. In the reverse, this isn't that they don't deserve to be there or don't feel that they deserve to be there. It's more a matter of just being humble about it. And so, again, it isn't like the King of Coins in the upright is not humble, just that we're focusing on that humble nature here in the reverse. And that's what's really emanating from the card. We also have this youthfulness and inspiration. So, allowing yourself to be inspired, allowing yourself to get excited about something, and really just not having a lot of expectations about what it could look like or what it could be. That is one of the messages that wants to come through here as far as what you can be doing for it. Learn to choose the best battles. So you've got the Five of Swords here, which is suggesting that there may be some places where there's kind of a winning at any cost, or winning because it's it's just the principle of the thing, and so this is a card that says, okay, it's time to reevaluate. Maybe not all of that. Definitely don't stop standing for what's important to you. Just think about whether or not some of these battles are a great usage of your time and energy, or if there are things that would be a better use of your time and energy. We've got some instability coming your way. So we know that things are also moving very slowly, and it feels like that instability is a little bit like that lack of balance that you'll sometimes experience if you're not able to move quickly enough. So if you've ever tried to do a track balance on a bike where you're on a bicycle and you're not moving and you're just trying to balance upright, it's a lot more challenging than balancing when you are moving forward. So there is something here that's going to encourage you to kind of jump in, and there is also a sense that you have the ability to jump in. We definitely saw that tendency in you, but there's also you're being warned to also read the red flags and observe where there's a wall that still needs to be guarded, and that is legitimate. Or because that's not saying that you need to change the situation, which is something we learned with the Ten of Cups along the way, but it is saying that we have a desire, or we have a need to still protect ourselves and just kind of understand what is really needed. So you don't just want to jump into everything, because if you determine that you've got a wall that still needs to be guarded, that's a lesson that still needs to be learned. So it's wise to go down into that one and find the root. So with the Page of Cups here in reverse, there are also some things that you're going to feel as you're moving through this process that you want to say. So maybe it's you meet somebody else and you want to reach out to the person that you've been getting these readings for, and it's been some time. You are encouraged not to do that because of the place that they are in their lessons. So they may still be, and I'm getting the impression that regardless of what's going on, they may still not be ready to engage on any real meaningful level. So this is true even for the folks that are not having this person come, or even if they are coming back, realize they may be triggering you again because they're not necessarily ready to engage. If that's the case, you may want to think twice about jumping in unless you are fully healed, because if you're not fully healed, you're likely to still have some of the same problems that you had with them in the past, and some of the same dynamics are likely to arise with, the unequal give and take, and some of the same things that have happened in the past. But you're not encouraged to spend a lot of time worrying about it or thinking about it. With this Nine of Swords, it's really more that you have the ability now to walk away from some of that anxiety, and you be encouraged to do so. So we've got the Three of Swords that has come out here to talk a little bit about the emotion that's going to be brought back up in you. Okay, so the emotion that's going to be brought back up in you that causes you to see potential red flags, that causes you to be triggered a little bit. And we still don't want this card. It has come up multiple times, and I'm like, oh, it's the Destiny card, and then it doesn't have the glow to it. Not saying that you aren't still moving toward your destiny, because frankly, you have little choice in doing so. In fact, this next step on the journey is absolutely a required one, even if it isn't one that you had in your plan. But it's going to bring up some emotions. It's going to bring up some things that you're encouraged to face those. You're encouraged to face them and realize that in a lot of cases, you've grown past them. You have the ability to move forward. The This says fortitude, and I love that. But it's confidence, it's courage, it is fortitude, it's a willingness to move forward and to fight for what you want. This is something that you're going to find even in spite of some of the feelings that you may have been having. But you may also notice that, like we have with the Four of Wands over here, we've got the Two of Pentacles, which is an indication that things may not be easy to navigate as you're moving through it. Might be a lot of moving parts. We definitely saw that there was a lot of complexity. And so, like I said, we're going to look deeper into this when we get into the extended, because there's a lot of positivity here, but you end up being triggered and having to go through a necessary step. But it doesn't necessarily tell us who the person is or exactly what's happening. We know that there's passion and you're curiosity is there, you're ready to move into it, you're ready to jump into it, but we don't have all the answers. So we're going to look into that a little bit more. And then we're also going to look a little bit more into kind of what you need to do to prepare for that, and how to marry up these energies where you are today and what you need to do to prepare for it. And that's going to be what we'll talk about in the extended. But we're going to talk a little bit about more about who or what this is that's coming. First, I want to get you the oracle advice, though. Sometimes I get these cards out and I don't use them, but a lot of times lately I have been using the oracle cards. Sometimes they even pop up in the extended. So we've got the Wizard of Awareness, and here we have the concept behind this one is really about being. You're going to be a lot more aware of your situation now. You're going to be able to see, oh, hey, I'm being triggered. You're going to be able to see here the red flags, and here are the ones that still bother me. This is why I'm not going to jump in, or this is how I'm going to go in and kind of check this out, evaluate whether this is something I'd be happy with going forward, because you are frankly armed with so much more information now than you were just a few short months ago, a few short weeks ago. Let's be honest. You've made a lot of transition has already happened. A lot of the change has already kind of been kicked off. Even though you're still working through it, there's a lot that has already been kicked off. So this of awareness really just kind of talks about that, talks about your awareness and an ability to take your internal temperature around the situation. So I'm going to go ahead and end this reading here, and we're going to go into the extended. We're going to learn a little bit more about this person or this situation that's coming your way. Thank you for being here with me for this. If this one did resonate with you, then please do check out some other videos. Maybe go ahead and subscribe, and I will see you in another reading.